What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video here on Auto Wisdom. Today I have the absolute pleasure of sitting behind the wheel of this 2022 Mazda ND2 MX-5 Miata. And for keen viewers on my channel, you will have seen that I reviewed this exact same car a little over 2 years ago when it was almost entirely stock, minus the exception of some upgraded brake pads and an Axleback exhaust. It was a joy to drive, and I will throw a little video card up to that on the screen if you are interested. But fast forwarding 2 years later, how does an entire suite of track-focused upgrades and modifications tailor the driving experience of this car, particularly on the street, because that's where we are to drive this car today, but more so, how does it enhance and extrapolate the absolute most that you can get out of the ND2 chassis? That is what we are here to find out. Before we get into the driving portion of this review, there is going to be a full mod list in the description box down below if you are interested, and I do want to highlight a few of the notable upgrades and modifications that the owner has done to this car, because there is some stuff worth mentioning here. So for suspension, we've got some Shaftworks Bilanx coilovers, one-way adjustable, 15K front and 8K rear Swift springs. We've got some Karcepts sway bars in the front and rear that are adjustable. We've also got some Flyin Miata Camber bushings to allow for increased negative camber that optimizes that contact patch while we're driving on the road and track. In terms of braking, we've got a Stoptech C43 upgraded BBK with some PFC 11 pads in the front and some XP20 pads in the rear. Some 17x9 Flyin Miata Kogeki wheels all around, wrapped in Kumho V730. R-Comp tires, 200 tread wear, so 245x40x17 all around. And another great upgrade that the owner has done that I'm very excited to find out how it affects the driving experience is the 3.45 final drive Fiat Abarth limited slip differential that was swapped into this car to improve the acceleration. We've also got some poly differential mounts, as well as a Clutchmasters FX100 lightweight flywheel, which should definitely help with the throttle response and just the overall ability to rev this engine out. And I'm hoping this actually kind of improves some of the laziness when rev matching on downshifting. That was something I do remember having a little bit of a gripe with on the stock ND2, so we'll find out shortly. So that's enough for modifications and talking about this car, guys. Let's take it out on the road and see how it drives. So setting off in the track spec ND2 Miata. I will warn you guys, as a quick disclaimer, I apologize if the audio doesn't come through very well. This is a very, very loud car. From the rattling of the chassis mounted CAE shifter to the exhaust itself that absolutely screams. You guys will definitely like the sound though. Let's get to it. Oh yeah. That is absolutely incredible. Immediately, that Abarth differential makes a massive difference with the shorter gearing because of that final drive upgrade. The gears are so closely spaced in terms of the gear ratios themselves, and the acceleration is noticeably improved as a result of it, even over a standard Miata. Pair that with some of the upgrades such as the catless header and the tune, and man, this thing absolutely rips, and it sounds incredible too. That naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine is just such a joy. It's got buttery smooth power delivery. Made it up to that CAE chassis mounted shifter. What an incredible experience. How about the handling though? Let's give the suspension a quick test. Absolutely no body roll. Paired with those V730s, there's so much grip on tap. Very, very raw. The suspension is stiff. It's forgiving though. It's got enough compliance to it to where on the street it's not going to rattle your teeth off, but man, is it firm. But it does provide a lot of confidence in regard to holding corners long sweepers at very, very high speeds. And I can see why for only 170 wheel horsepower or so, which really on paper is not a lot of power, this car can set some pretty competitive lap times and keep up with cars way, way above its league. Oh, that shifter, guys, is such a joy. It's so direct. There's so much vibration coming through the shifter itself, so much feedback. The notchy, short gearing as well is just epic. The whole car itself feels like it's on edge, but in a really good way, in a very predictable and confidence-inspiring way. The steering inputs are so sharp. The car feels like it's just been cracked out with these upgrades, but it is just so dialed in. It's so responsive, and that also is as a result of that very just lightweight chassis. You know, we're looking at a curb weight of around 2,300 pounds. And that's just not something you get in modern cars nowadays. And Mazda is one of the few with the Miata that has such a simple, relatively old school formula, and it works. And when you add some high quality upgrades, really this is a perfect case study of why you get what you pay for. You pay for some high quality mods and upgrades, and man, you just have such an exciting driver's car that's just so dialed in. It's so communicative and just so unbelievably responsive. The street really is not a proper test in any way, shape, or form for what this car can do or demonstrate. It really just needs a track. Obviously, that's what the owner has set it up for. But how incredible is that with the added power? Another thing that I immediately noticed is the rev-happy nature of this 4-cylinder engine as a result of that lighter weight flywheel. That was one of my biggest gripes with the car when I first drove it a few years back, was that you had to stab the throttle so hard to get it to rev when you wanted to rev match and downshift, especially while under braking. But in this car, it's absolutely effortless. Oh my God, I just feel like I can go wide open throttle through just about any bend, any sweeper. It's just so confidence inspiring. The suspension doesn't get unsettled by anything on the street, and we're on some decent roads here, but man, it really just is a testament to what a high quality suspension setup can do. Another thing I absolutely love about the ND2 chassis is really just the driver position. I sit so low in the chassis of the vehicle itself. I have excellent visibility outward from the frontal viewpoint and even on the sides as well. A-pillars are relatively thin as well, so it just really kind of helps, especially with how enclosed and how tight the cockpit feels. Having that extra visibility makes all the difference, and once again, it just adds another layer of confidence. And in terms of the braking feel, I'm barely on the brakes, but there is no shortage of stopping power. That's Stoptech BBK, and I know you guys can hear those brake pads squealing away. I just know you can dive into turns with complete ease in this car. Really, I wish I had a track to review this car on, because it's just so overkill for the street in terms of the way that it's been set up. It definitely has some compromises from a daily driving standpoint, but really at the end of the day, if you want to experience what this car is all about and the absolute capabilities of the ND2 chassis, this is how you gotta, build one of these Miatas. You gotta upgrade it with the right parts, and it will pay dividends. What a fun car. So much fun. You feel like it'll just wind out endlessly. And at this power level, really, you're not going to get into a whole lot of trouble with it. It's got enough power to scoot the vehicle and to be competitive on a track, but it's not overkill in any ways like on a B58 Supra or really anything that's a forced induction platform. And you still really get that joyful driving experience as a result of it. So I'm going to wrap it up here, guys, before I do get in trouble. This car is very loud, and I don't want to get pulled over on these busy Orange County streets. I do apologize as well if the audio quality was a bit rough throughout the video. This car is just so raw and the brakes are loud, the engine. But man, what an epic experience. And I will link Will's YouTube channel, who's the owner of this vehicle, in the description box. You guys can check out some of his track footage that he posts when he does do track days up in NorCal and occasionally in SoCal. What an epic, epic car, guys. I really wish I could exploit it more on the street, but you just can't without getting into a very dangerous scenario or in big, big trouble. With all that being said, if you did enjoy the video, please go ahead and leave a like on this video, as well as subscribe to AutoWisdom down below for more epic car content. And with all that being said, I will catch you all in the next one. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.